There you are. Welcome to the Racing Alternative. Another week of fantastic conversation. Hopefully, winning tipping. We'll get your views as well. Another brilliant weekend of National Hunt racing, reflecting on what happened last week, which was tremendous work. Stephen Derbyshire did about 1,900 miles in his car, in his trusted Audi diesel, all over the place. And he's backing winners left, right and centre. And as if that wasn't enough, he was on ITV. He was a star. He attracted all the numbers. Lord Derbyshire, I bow down to you, sir. How are you?
Oh, hello. Wasn't it great to see you at Sandown? And you even bought me a pint.
I did. And
It's not true what they say about you.
The padlock came off the wallet, didn't it?
Yes.
Tell us about
my bloody dust mask.
ITV. You're well in there now, are you, kidder?
Am I? No, I don't know. Rishi was very nice to me. We showed the on-course game off, and it was all good fun and merriment, wasn't it?
It was brilliant. And a really good tipping week last week as well, Steve.
Yeah, it was pretty good. We gave a nod to Grozny, didn't we? At a huge price in the Borders National, and he duly obliged. And you mentioned the Beecher winner, of course, Twig.
On the nod, just doing the very brave Mr. Vango under that really massive weight. Actually, it's really interesting when you looked at the review of the Beecher Chase, everybody's saying that Mr. Vango jumped really well. He gets really close to his fences, doesn't he? You know, he doesn't balloon them. He's very, very efficient. There's not a lot of room for him to perhaps make a mistake, etc. And although 4.25 miles obviously will suit him better than 3.25, he is going to need plenty of give in the ground, which not necessarily he is going to have in April as well. What have we got for you today? Well, do stay up to the end of the podcast because those selections we only give at the back end. So if you want another 16-1 winner, he's your man. Possibly me. Possibly a 6-1 winner for me, but a 16-1 fit. We're going to talk about different things. Dan Skelton, Royal Ascot prize money, which has always got on my chest. It's really, really annoying, and I still don't get it all the way down through the years. We've got a listener question as well, which you can also put into us if you want to ask us a question of any kind, or if you want to debate to us. theracingalternative@gmail.com is the place to go. And of course, nrgbet.com. They are our partners in crime each and every week that allow us to do this podcast. So as always, our thanks to them. Let's go back to last weekend, Stephen. It was a brilliant day of racing at Sandown Park. I really enjoyed it. I wish they'd knocked down that air hanger of a grandstand there. It really annoys me, but that'll come in time by the time you and I are 6 foot under. Il Etait Temps, obviously one of the highlights there, and he obviously has a huge liking for the Isha track, doesn't he?
Well, he does, and I think that's a concern with people going off and saying, "Oh, this is definitely the Champion Chase winner." He isn't. You know, the one time he went to Cheltenham, I mean, to be fair, he didn't jump, but he was disappointing. Now, what would he be? I don't know. I think we were right. John Bon is past his sell-by date. Maybe there's someone else. And I don't quite know what wins the Champion Chase yet. There's no point being definitive before the event. But yeah, he won it. He won it as he should have done, and he won very, very well. And you can't say fairer than that, can you?
And Masborough jumped like an absolute donkey last week. He just can't get his hind legs where he wants to have them. And you'd be doubtful about him.
Story of our life, sir.
Doesn't he? Speak for yourself, lad. Speak for yourself. And you have a look at the list for the Champion Chase, and there's no strength and depth in the field. And you're looking at something from left to centre. Solness maybe coming back to the form he showed last year. He's in late this year. Khalif de Burley putting that extra run behind him, possibly. LA Francais running over 2 miles rather than 3 and dictating, going mad from the front. But you know, the top of the market, I suppose the biggest overreaction might have been John Bon at 25s. I don't think he can win the big race, but he could certainly be placed at 25s, and that's a healthy profit, isn't it?
Well, it is. I'm not sure he'd run. I'd probably go Ascot entry with him, but
yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
Marine Nationale. Look at this stage, Jeff. you just said not many of them will run. There's a lot worse bets than back in Marine National each way at 4-1. Bookies don't like you having these bets because they inevitably produce a return, and the downside and the upside is pretty good in that scenario. I'm not backed him yet, but I probably will do.
Spring ground will help him, quite obviously. Everybody knows that. You don't need to be an oracle to know that. And tell us about your lovely drive up north to the beautiful Borders track of Kelso.
Oh, it's wonderful. I love going to Kelso. Have you been?
I've been twice. What's the notch like there nowadays?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's you could have pies, Yorkshire pudding, honestly, and it's all homemade stuff. And I went for trucker's breakfast on the way up as well.
I saw the picture. How much was that?
£8 with coffee.
With coffee, bottomless.
With coffee. Very good, very good. So yeah, if I'm heading north, I always do try and lower my life expectancy by clogging my arteries up with a bit of fried bread in my innards.
You're a disgusting animal. That's all I can say. And you actually backed the winner just before the off of the Borders National.
Yeah, I couldn't believe he was 30 on a machine.
Yeah, ridiculous price, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, we said Sandy has a great record in the race. It's nice to see Sandy coming back to form now. He's had a few winners. He had one on Saturday at Wetherby. He had one at Kelso.
Yeah.
It's good to see. The rest of my punting, I'm afraid, wasn't very good. Virtually everything I backed went odds on, and virtually everything I backed otherwise, didn't pass the post in front. But that is the name of the game.
Get out there, Stephen. There's punters out that are not feeling sorry for you, because if any punter gets 130 winner every week, they'd be bloody happy, wouldn't they?
Yes. I should have won a lot more, though. I should have won a lot more. I think it's just worth talking about Lazubida, by the way, who might have gone under the radar. I find Claret Racing, Jason Files, who used to manage Haydock, I know him quite well. She won despite a penalty at Kelso. They were miles clear of the third, minimum of first. And I understand Lazubida will go for the listed novice hurdle at Haydock next Saturday.
Yeah, and it was a pretty good time in the circumstances as well. That was last week. Don't forget, of course, if you ever see it as a racecourse, come up and say hello. Trevor came up and said hello to us. Let him die, wasn't he? Thank you, Trevor.
Yeah, he was great, Trevor. Yes, yeah, lovely man.
Fine, thank you so much. It's always nice when people give you a little bit of recognition. Even what we do is just a guess here.
Yes.
Let's talk about the dodgy subject. I mean, we haven't talked about how much we get for this podcast, but the dodgy subject of prize money and Royal Ascot, and why the Hong Kong horse Ya King Rising, sprinter eminently supreme, connections don't want to visit Royal Ascot because they say they don't want to go just for the tradition. That's out the bag anymore. It's prize money. And I was doing my homework, Stephen. Prize money for Royal Ascot just under £8 million this year, which doesn't equate to the top, that's for the whole meeting, doesn't equate to the top 3 races in the world, which is absolutely shocking.
I disagree with you on this. Okay,
You can't live on history. Oh, we want to go to Royal Ascot. We want a horse at Royal Ascot. If it wins, we don't care. We've been to Royal Ascot. That's absolute bollocks. I'm sorry. We've got to live in an age now where finance and money matter to a lot of owners, even the rich owners. And now it's coming out with the connections of this amazing sprinter. They couldn't be bothered going to Ascot for a paltry 650, 700,000.
Well, I think Will Aikenhead, who works for Ascot, countered this particularly well. And he tweeted, as I will dictate,
Go on.
the 567,000 on offer for winning the QE2 Jubilee Stakes at Royal Ascot is more than Ya King Rising has earned on 13 of his 18 starts to date. understandable why connections would look elsewhere, but worth highlighting that the prize money is not that horrendous. Look, Royal Ascot, you might say it's not about tradition, but it is really. I mean, there is a certain prestige in winning things in sport, whether it be the bloody boat race or whatever it is, a PDC championship. There is heritage attached to these races, and you know what? If the Japanese don't want to come, fine. But I thought it was fairly interesting that virtually 2/3 of the races that this star has won, so-called star, but really is a star, isn't he?
He's a
Um,
massive star. And actually,
yes,
most
he
of
is a
those
he is a
races-
star.
No,
He is a star.
Stephen, no, most of those races were in the first half of his career. So what you're giving there is skewed statistics, statistics, statistics. And by the way, I see you more as a PDC World Darts player than sitting in a small rig in a boat race between Oxford and Cambridge and sinking the bloody thing.
Well, it would sink, wouldn't it? Bloody hell, it'd be like a Titanic with me on it. You know, I can only doggy paddle like this. Terrible.
No, I get your point. I get your point that Ascot is unique as a meeting is concerned, and has the history back to Queen Anne, etc., etc., etc. But you know what? Come into the modern times. If they had sponsors for all the big races and they get them easily, they double the prize money for all the Group Ones and maybe one of the big handicaps like the Hunt Cup or the Woking, more like the Hunt Cup. That would attract more and better horses for sure. So, certainly for the Group 1 and Group 2s, I would have thought.
Mm. I think the other thing that we underestimate in British racing is, if you go racing abroad, especially America,
Yeah.
all the tracks are the same. They're so bloody boring. We are so lucky to have. We were talking about Kelso before, weren't we?
We were.
They're all like chalk and cheese, and that is the great thing about racing, the eclecticness in this country. And long may it continue. Now I get the sponsorship argument, but again, British racing is a little special in this regard. It's a great historic thing, isn't it? I wouldn't be bending over backwards to do it.
Sit back, but you've got blue blood in your veins, so you're from a
Well, yes,
parish to me.
yes. I'm the third Earl of Noonley Willows.
Absolutely. Let's go on to a subject matter I know you wanted to bring up. It was one of the big stories of last week regarding one of your closest friends, Dan Skelton.
Closest friends, yes. Yes, I do have a Ladbrokes hat in the car. Other bookmakers are available, including NRG Bet.
Probably, oh yes.
Yeah. Dan, yes, he brings Be Aware into the paddock late, he gets fined for it, and then he moans about being fined for it. Look, I go racing probably 200 times a year. It is one of the most frustrating things, apart from getting pillaged for a burger, when a horse comes in late in the paddock, you don't see it, particularly in a novice or a maiden or whatever it is, and then it just buggers off out onto the course. It's one of the bonuses of going racing. The public are treated with disdain by a lot of people in racing, and this has got to change, because breaking news: the blank check from the bookmaker's over. You've got to get people through the bloody door, and if you can't be asked sending a horse round a parade ring for a couple of laps of it, I think we're in a bad situation. So I don't say this very often, but well done to the BHA and more of it, because if you keep finding them, do you know what? They'll miraculously get there on time. Now I know John Berry tweeted me. I do love John Berry. I think he's a great chap. And said, look, there was only a half hour between the races, and there was a 3-mile hurdle, and yeah, that is true. But Ollie Murphy had a runner in both and managed it, so why can't Dan Skelton?
Yeah, I agree with you. And you make a really good point. One, that Dan Skelton's career to a certain extent is underpinned by the punter, who underpin the industry as well. And your point about young horses is correct, because we have new people coming into racing as spectators. And the most important thing when you're watching a race with young horses in the parade ring is to see how they react. to this new environment when they're going around, and physically whether they have improved or gone backwards from their last run. And that's how you learn about how to back a horse or maybe not, by their physical output when you see them in the parade ring. I think it's a very, very valid point. So well done, the big bosses, even though I know Dan Skelton
Yeah.
pretty well.
One last thing on this.
Right.
One last thing. They hate it when I go over time. You know the horse, Certain Lad, and I tweeted, he literally did that at Sandown. It would have been 18 months ago,
Yeah, I remember.
right? In the Brigadier Gerard.
Yeah, yeah.
And I tweeted, say, it's absolutely ridiculous. The stable girl came back to me and said, well, he can't do a full circuit of the paddock because he'll get too het up. Well, I'm sorry. If the horse can't do a full circuit of the paddock, he shouldn't be racing under rules. It really is that simple.
Okay, strong views on that. Let's see how it moves forward with other trainers and whether the bosses up top at headquarters manage to keep their heads and keep aligning similar penalties to trainers who do the same thing. Let's move on to racing this weekend. Another, I mean, we're blessed, aren't we, Stephen? Another brilliant weekend of National Hunt racing, headlined by the December Gold Cup, another Premier Handicap chase at Cheltenham on Saturday at 150. A little bit disappointed, only 11 go to post, but it's normally less than we get in the Paddy Power Gold Cup. And some pretty interesting market moves this week as well. 11 hopefully going to post, but Jaguar is the one a lot of people will be watching, making his belated seasonal debut.
Yeah. The greatest power of a punter is not to bet.
Agree.
And I thought this race had. I think the winner will come from the top four in the market. But in which order, I have absolutely no idea, because you've got a lot of imponderables. I mean, I've no idea if Holy Smoke will beat Vincenzo. Vincenzo would be my throwaway selection. Jaguar hasn't run for a while. I've no doubt he's going to be better than this mark in time, and is probably a graded horse. But the stable are out of form. You've got Colonel Harry, who showed a PB last time over the national fences, benefited from a good ride. I thought there were finite margins between them, and Kim Rock as well, who ran so well here when second to the Honeyball horse. I thought there were real finite margins between them, and which way it goes depends on a lot of unknown factors. So I sat it out, but I will say I think I'm being very positive in this pod, aren't I? I think that Cheltenham deserve a pat on the back for giving one up to the John Hunt Family Fund, and John and Amy are doing fantastic work in the eyes of unspeakable tragedy, and my heart goes out to them, and so does my admiration.
Yeah, and I second that. I got into broadcasting. I worked along John when he was a trainee broadcaster under me at a big bookmakers, and there's not a nicer man in horse racing, and we doff our cap to them. And if you are at Cheltenham or anywhere else, if you could give to that fund, which helps young women in their lives, that would be fantastic. As far as the December Gold Cup is concerned, I actually thought it was a race to have a bet in, because there's a Evan in there, and I think there's an each way saute there. I backed Holy Smoke anti-post at 25 to the Paddy Power, and had he not tried to take the second last by the roots, I thought he would have gone very close to pushing the winner. But he's a character. He's a real character, and he puts in a Horlicks of a jumps two or three times during a round. I thought Colonel Harry was good in the Grand Sefton, but this is down to Colonel Harry to ground. He wants an awful lot of rain on Friday, because we've got a dry Saturday, and he really needs to get his toe in if he's going to try and defeat a mark of 148. And if the ground doesn't get really soft, Il Rodota comes into it with Harry Cobden back on board, and he's back down to 141. But if we don't get that rain, and it seems it's right on sort of a balance, a tipping point, whether it's going to be good to soft in places or soft all round, we don't know about what's going to happen on Friday. I thought Garlaw had a tremendous chance each way at 25 to 1. It gets below a mark of 150 for the first time since he last won. I think it was January 24. And Isabel Ryder, who's very competent in the saddle, takes a massive £7 off. So his mark comes down from 154 to 147. And if the ground is not as soft as it was at the Paddy Power meeting, I can see him hunting down the leaders and possibly being too classy as well. 3 miles too far in the Charlie Hall for him. This is his trip. This is his track. And I'm not saying he's going to win, but I think he could be in the first three here at 25 to 1. I thought it was way too big, Stephen.
Yeah, I can see that, and I echo your comments on Isabel. She's very good. She really is very good indeed.
She's classy. She's well worth a £7 claim. That's what you've got to work out when you're backing jockeys that claim, are they worth the 7, the 5, or the 3? What else do you like at Cheltenham, or lock or not, as the case may be, that you may lay rather than back?
Well, Conman John, I want to lay. I was at Kelso when he won. Look, that race really hasn't worked out at all. The horse he beat by a short head that day, who everyone thought was going to be pretty good, got done at Musselburgh earlier this week.
He was
The third, okay.
Well, Disney at 3 o'clock, by the way. Yeah, 3 o'clock.
Yeah. The third Great Fleet, okay, won at Kelso on Sunday, but that was an egg and spoon race. I just think that there's some lurkers here. I laid Conman John last night at 2.3, I think. And I have backed. I mean, I've played this race. I thought They Call Me Hugo was very, very good at Dross last time. As an introduction, I thought that was good. And I think surely that the step up in trip for this reckless spending is going to be a big conduit to some improvement. So I backed them both against him, and I've laid him. So
yeah, and you haven't.
I'm afraid I'll be on gruel if Conman John wins.
It'll be another Indian takeaway.
Yes.
And we haven't even mentioned the two Skelton horses, especially Big Cadillac is very interesting because he ran at Fosslas as well last time out, and he looks as an out-and-out stayer as well. So if you're against Conman John and you've got to pick between the other 6, I think amongst the other 6, this could be a renewal that has a little bit of strength in depth, actually. So interesting. You look like a bit of a Hugo.
Do I?
Yeah, I think you could call yourself Hugo Derbyshire. It's quite posh. It's
Yes.
It's kind of in your realm, isn't it?
Yes. Some people call me Dick.
Well, yeah, I'm not so sure about that, to be honest with you. Let's get to our question of the week, which is quite interesting as well, from our friend Scotty Cash. And his question is this, so I'll throw this over to you, Hugo. What are Paul and SD's top tips for choosing a selection? What's their best advice for a bumper horse like me? He's obviously whipping himself on the backside and saying he's pretty slow when it comes to punting. So what are your principles when you're considering a punt?
I don't like backing them short. I certainly look, if you just bear this in mind, I think a lot of punters miss this. If you back a horse at even money, you've got to be right 50% of the time.
Of course.
Because if you're not, and you do that 100 times, and you're only right 40 times, you will lose, okay? Yeah. So the starting point, of course, is price, but I don't think people quite visualize prices quite like that. So 2 to 1 is 33%, 3 to 1 is 25%. So your first thing is, if this horse is 3 to 1, has it got better than a 25% chance of winning? If the answer to that question,
an SP forecast before a race, before looking at the prices on offer.
I don't write them down, but I have prices in my head.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, yeah. I think price is the most important thing, because it's like going in on the stock market. You know, it's risk versus reward. Now, there are other things. There's horses that are overbet. There's you look for things. Why did this horse not perform to its ability last time? Was it the trip? Was it there was no pace? Was it the ground? Is there a feasible excuse? And if the excuse is feasible, is that then accommodated in the price? That my best advice to you would be to look to seriously look at the price, have a price in your head. Look, this takes absolutely years of practice, by the way. It's not something you can do overnight. But if you're thinking, well, that horse should be 4-1 and it's 7-1, so I think it's got a 20% chance of winning, and at 7-1 it's 12.5. You should back it.
And the other thing is, and horses aren't machines, they aren't going to run to their best every single time. That's a factor you should put in as well. And one of the biggest factors, and you disagree because of all the homework you do, you need a little bit of luck in your races as well. Luck's a huge factor in life, as it is in betting as well, and you need to have that on side. And there's no way you can placate that every single time you put your hard-earned cash down. So there's different weightings for different factors for different punters. And here's the other thing that people don't realize, that even the best tipsters around, like you, and you're a standout tipster, and I've known that for years, is that even the best tipsters have more losers than winners. And therefore, what you said, trying to realize a level stake profit is what you've got to aim for. You don't have to bet for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but you need to try and get a level stake profit. And always remember as well, here's the other thing, that value is subjective. Has to be.
Yes. Yes, of course it's subjective. I mean, the other way, by the way, I will solve a race is say, well, why, I'm a negative bugger, aren't I? Why can't this horse win? Why do I think this won't win? And you can almost do it by process of elimination.
Get that? Yeah, I get that.
That's the other way. That's the other way you can do it. But yes, value of course is subjective, and it's how much you put on certain points and others. The other thing I would say is some of the overnight prices are clearly done by work experience candidates are similar, because if they had an idea of the form book, they wouldn't be there. The problem with taking overnight prices and you being better than them is you will get your account shut very, very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the one final thing I'd like to throw in. If you're honing in on one horse in a race because you saw how it ran last time and you think conditions are optimum this time around, don't just look at the one horse. Look at all of his rivals, even if you only take a couple of minutes on his other rivals, because God forbid you're beaten a neck, a short head, or half a length by one of the other runners, and you hadn't looked at the form of one of his rivals, and you thought afterwards, oh, if only I'd looked at that other horse, I might have had a backup bet or whatever. Don't have this tunnel vision of backing one horse in a race and not look at the race as a complete solventity. That's the other thing I would say, which I think is absolutely massive.
We've all done it, haven't we?
Yeah. Yeah. So I still do it time and time again. So I don't know why I'm advising that. I need to slap across the cheeks and not the one across my face. We've talked about the December Gold Cup. We've talked about the Albert Bartlett. Let's move on to selections and tips for this weekend. Anything else you've got your eye on which is of particular interest, Mr. Derbyshire?
It's quiet, isn't it? by the way, I am not going racing this Saturday, which is terrible, because I'm going to Santa's Polar Express, which will be great fun, and Disney on Ice.
What a great film that is, Polar Express. What a film. And talking of films, last night I watched a sort of a life program about the great Gregory Peck. What a remarkable career he had. To Kill a Mockingbird et al. But I think he owned racehorses as well in America.
He's gone up in my estimations, and it's amazing these celebrities, they don't half go up in your estimation when they own racehorses.
Give us one away, or even at Cheltenham if you want to.
I'll give you one at Cheltenham. Look, I backed Dot Pick Me earlier in the week at 11-2, 5-1. That's a lot shorter now, so that's probably the price it should be. This lighting is amazing in here. It's just the missus needs to change the bulbs. Anyway, I liked in the 2-mile handicap chase. I have backed a couple. I backed Gunsight Ridge, who I think 2 miles round Cheltenham is absolutely ideal, and looked a bit big to me at around 14-1. I thought that was very fair. I was very impressed with Accelerate. It may have only been a 3-runner race at Warwick, but it was running a very fair time. I thought he jumped well, like a lot of Jane Williams's horses. She's probably got a line on these 2-mile handicap chasers as well through Sandown, who's very, very similar in terms of opposition. And I thought he was unexposed against horses who were exposed, and I think he'll go very, very well here. I mean, he has been backed, but I've backed him quite significantly, actually.
I think he's quite solid. Interesting. Well, I've had a couple of unlucky tips at Wolverhampton the past couple of weeks. I think jockey error around there is, I suppose, quite easy. It's quite a hard track to ride correctly, whether you're in a fast run race or a slow run race. But I'm going to go back into the well for the 6 o'clock at Wolverhampton. It's a Class 6 handicap over 9.5 furlongs, several course and distance winners in the field. But I'm going to go for a horse who's never won over that intermediate 9.5 furlong trip, has won over the extended mile there. Number 4, Chio Tog for Mark Loughnane, who's down to a mark of 62. Ran a nice warm-up race for this last time out. He's got a lovely sit in stall 3, and he's got Billy the Kid, his son, on board Loughnane. I think anything around 8 or 9 or 10 to 1 will get about Chio Tog, and I think a winner is around the corner. He's not going to get much lower in the ratings, and I think more importantly, he'll have the race run to suit. So I've always thought that the makeup of a race, whether it's national hunt or flat, on the all-weather or on the turf, Stephen, is vitally important. How many front runners, how many pressers, how many midfield horses, how many hold-up horses. And this race pans out perfectly for him in that he will get a pace to run at. And I thought he was worth a lumpy each-way bet for our luck finally to come good at Wolverhampton. Number 4, Chio Tog in the 6 o'clock at Wolverhampton. And are you going to Wolverhampton, the friendliest?
No, I'll be there on Monday.
Oh, you'll be there on Monday. Well, there you go.
But it's great of you to pick this 54 race veteran as a wager. Yeah.
I love these Class 5, Class 6 handicaps.
Oh, I do.
I've got one up my sleeve in Ireland, a 3-mile handicap hurdler, which I'm not going to tell you the name of for the future, that I have been watching for 10 months now, and I'm absolutely convinced they are going to have an absolute roar on this horse in the winter months. So as they say, watch this space. Mr. Derbyshire, any other busyness?
Yeah, well, I've got one, by the way, who I've been looking for 10 months, and I'll not tell you that name because, yes, I could do getting on it myself. Yeah, I think it's rated about 80 as well, and it's a chaser, but there we are. No, next week will be nice, won't it? Ho, 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 ho. The Tommy Whittle and the Long Walk.
Yeah, the Tommy Whittle, one of the slog races at Haydock Park, aren't they? When the mud is flying, you're at your best, aren't you?
Well, something like that. I'll be doing, here's one for you. I'll do Haydock. Might do Haydock Saturday and Lingfield Sunday.
Okay, well, now you are confirmed, if you've watched any one of our episodes, that you know that Stephen Derbyshire is slightly unscrewed and off his head. But it was, of course, Sandown Park 2 Kelso last week. So that's a mere jaunt for you and your love of
Well, it is.
Audi diesel.
Yes. And of course, do like us and subscribe to us, then you can hear more of us, because we do talk sense, don't we, Paul?
Well, we think we do, but that's down to you, the listener and the viewer. Once again, thank you for joining us on the Racing Alternative in conjunction with NLG.bet. We'd love to have you back again next week, and hopefully we will, in a week's time, be reflecting on a few more winners as per last week. Mr. Derbyshire, go safe, go sound, and fill your pockets, young man.
Thank you. Likewise to you, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.